And we are now joined by the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, Coach Mario Cristobal. Coach, you were telling us before, it's like 70s right now in Coral Gables, or you said 70s is freezing actually in Coral Gables. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we're climbing to the 80s now. So those Chamber of Commerce days are over. We're getting back into, South Florida football weather.
Glad to hear it. Sounds like that's probably ideal weather to be practicing in. First question, what have been some of your takeaways a few practices in the spring ball?
Well, I think the first thing is, with 23 newcomers and then just enhancing and elevating our cultural standards, what you see is elevated play in the trenches. That's number one. I think the schematic changes that we've made with the coordinator hires, that's allowed us to maximize our talent better. It's a much better fit. The quarterback play is certainly elevated. The play at wide receiver, both inside and outside, both because of scheme and because of some additions, is really elevated as well. And then, Lance Skidry defensively brings a scheme that has been, a top 5 scheme defensively in the country for a couple of years now. So we just feel like we fit better schematically now, and we're just working, just keeping our mouths shut, going to work. But certainly hard work in the weight room in the offseason and talent acquisition is starting to look in a lot of places what it needs to look like at Miami.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned cultural adjustments and setting standards. What are some of those for you internally at Miami?
Well, it's as simple as guys that like to work. Putting myself and our staff in an environment where maybe that hasn't been the standard for a while. It's like mixing oil and water. That's not going to work. This game is about working hard and being able to fight through adversity and also being a great teammate, being a great colleague. And I think what you're seeing now is that there's a tremendous amount of unity because of time invested and because of hard work, sweat equity. So all that stuff is paying off. And of course, it's got to pay off on game day. But you see the progress in terms of the volunteer stuff, both in the community and from a workout standpoint. You see it in terms of the way that people are learning the scheme a lot quicker due to older guys teaching the younger guys. And you see a lot of the younger guys not being timid, right? These are high-level, highly blessed athletic guys that can flat out play. So that's a great combination when the competitive, nature of the team is high because guys want to get better. So we're progressing. We're not where we need to be. Please don't get me wrong, but we're certainly progressing.
And Coach, you went out and hired Shannon Dawson to be your offensive coordinator. What made him the right fit for y'all with what you want to do offensively at Miami?
Yeah, Shannon's a stud. He was able to blend the principles of the air raid and the passing game and has really done a great job pounding the football. When he was at West Virginia or his most recent time over at Houston. He's an elite human being and he's an elite teacher. And what he does really fits what we are looking for. We want to be an explosive offense and we want to be a physical offense. And in South Florida, if you have an exciting and explosive offense, you're going to attract the best players from South Florida to play in this particular offense. So, and kind of like Lance Skidry, top 5 and top 10 in several categories, and not by accident. He's done it over, a period of years. And again, it starts with being an elite human being, and he's a great connector. So the guys have really enjoyed being around him.
And something you were talking about before we started recording, you're like, hey, it starts in the trenches. Like you got to have the big human beings moving the other big human beings against their will. What's the progress been like that so far during winter conditioning in the spring?
Oh, without a doubt, you see it. It's an area on both sides of the ball where we're climbing towards what we want to be. The guys that were really heralded with the young offensive linemen that came in, and there's 3 of them that are here right now, Antonio Tripp and Sampson and Francis, and still got a couple guys coming. But they also joined Matt Lee, who came over from UCF, and Javion Cohen, who came over from the University of Alabama, joining Jalen Rivers and Nez Cooper. The rest of these guys, a lot of young guys that are playing really well also. But you've got just a tremendous difference in terms of your vertical size and your width, your girth, your power, your recoverability. There's a lot of experience up front there as well that helps those new guys. But they are explosive and gargantuan human beings that they love to work. They love to get pushed. They don't mind getting challenged. They fight through, the nicks and the bumps that come with football. So it's a really, really good fit for what we've been used to over the years.
And speaking of gargantuan human beings, Jason Taylor, elevated to defensive ends coach. What went into that decision for you?
Oh, that's an easy decision. He's another guy. Imagine that, a guy that's earned a gold jacket as an NFL Hall of Famer who really has nothing to prove, but shows up every single day as if he has everything to prove. He is, and again, another guy who, as a human being and as a teacher, is as good as it gets. And his energy, I mean, it's like when he was a player, he brings that same energy every single day. And hopefully we could maybe slip on a uniform on him and sneak him in there for a couple of plays and no one will notice.
Hey, we won't tell. We won't tell if you end up doing that. We'll make sure we keep it on the DL. You mentioned your quarterback play and this spring and how that's been developing with the new offense. Specifically, how has Tyler Van Dyke responded to Shannon Dawson so far in the new scheme?
It's a great match. It really is. Those two are, it's exactly how you want to pair up a coordinator and your quarterback, your starting quarterback, but also the other two young guys, because Jakari has been off the charts, and Emery has done a really good job as a freshman. But right now it starts with Tyler. Tyler, really got nicked up last year. Schematically, we just, and it is what it is. Sometimes things don't fit. It's not a knock on anyone or any scheme or whatever. It just sometimes it's about the fit. And this is certainly the right fit. So from an offensive standpoint, there's a lot of autonomy, which Tyler's a really smart guy. He understands protections. He understands coverage structures, bluffs, disguise, all that kind of stuff. So we're able to do a lot with him early. And we're, I think, 5-6 days into practice, but we've installed just about 85-90% of the offense. And we're going to install more in the coming days. So it's been awesome to watch. Just a lot of progress and just a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz, and a lot of juice around the building.
A lot of juice. And Coach, I want to sidebar here really quick. You are someone who acquires your juice through a certain caffeinated source, I'm understanding, through the specific kind of coffee down there in Miami. Is that right? There's some juice you're taking each day?
Oh, well, I mean, when you're born like Cuban down here in Miami, it's a rite of passage, man. Everyone's wondering in kindergarten why you're bouncing off the walls, because since you're 4 years old, your mom pours a shot of super duper turbo Cuban coffee in your milk with your toast and butter and sends you out the door. So yeah, it's kind of a thing down here. I'd be glad to send you a couple samples and see if you could fall asleep by next Wednesday.
Yeah, that'd be phenomenal. We'll do another interview after that, and it'll be rapid fire question, just boom, boom, boom. But Coach, going back to what you were talking about with talent acquisition, obviously the state of Florida is a hotbed. There's other great programs there as well with great head coaches that are recruiting. What do you feel like y'all are doing specifically from a pitch standpoint to acquire the best talent that y'all have from the 2023 cycle, being a top 10 class?
I think just being real and being genuine. And I think it's the best way to tell or the best predictor of the future is what, a staff or a coach has done in the past. I mean, look at the past stops of our coaches. Our program and our blueprint, when, I was at Alabama in 2016 before going to Oregon. And again, that team was 4-8. And albeit last year, we weren't there this past year, but the last 3 years we were there, we either won or played for the conference title and won a Rose Bowl title. And that was through culture, hard work, and talent acquisition. The edges looked better. The trenches got better. Explosive players outside. We had a great quarterback on the roster, obviously Justin Herbert, but then we also won the conference with other quarterbacks as well. So a lot of hard work by a lot of people that just come together with a common goal and are like-minded individuals that buy into the culture. And the culture, it starts and ends with hard work and eliminating any entitlement and any selfishness. And we've brought that over here. And at first, that's about as subtle as a shot right in the nose. And that's okay. We planned on that. We were fully aware of what we had to do and how we had to do it and what comes in the first part of it. So for us, the excitement around here, the true just energy in what's going on is awesome. And it's seen every single day on the field. So proud of our players for the work they've been putting in and just excited to get the practice today and just keep getting better.
And Coach, in the spirit of talent acquisition, so much is made today in the major markets when it comes to NIL, like the Los Angeleses, the Miamis, and schools like that. What's your personal approach when it comes to those kind of conversations?
Well, we're not allowed to have anything except with our players. You can. You could actually now you're allowed to make a call and make you can actually arrange a meeting, but you can't negotiate. You can't talk about that stuff. So I think it's the same approach that you have with coaches. You say, you have an opportunity to earn a certain amount, whatever it may be. So go get it, right? And at the end of the day, you're going to get what you've earned or what you've negotiated, or what you've settled for. It is there for the taking. And I think it provides some great opportunities. I wish we tied more academics into it. I wish there was some type of contingency there, because now you really tie education into the ability to earn a living, which I think is more real world like, right? I think right now they're separate, so it doesn't quite make sense. But what I tell the guys is, look, we're here to help in any way we can. Obviously, we're a lot of fundraise for it now, and collectives and all that stuff. And we are working our tails off on it. But once you get what you get, show up to work and get to work. Okay. Absolutely. And that goes for the staff as well. You know what I mean, brother? It's like, hey, man, this is the workplace. You get what you earned or you settled for, you negotiated for. So once you get here, man, it is what it is. I can only do so much in terms of our staff, in terms of NIL. Coaches can't control it, but they certainly can support it. And we support at a really high level. And it's been a difference maker for our program.
Absolutely. Hard hat and lunch pail once you get it, though. Once you get to the building, it's time to work. I love that. Last question for you before we get you out of here. You're someone who obviously just gets what Miami is about. You understand not just Miami, but the U. What makes Miami so special in the landscape of college football?
Well, I mean, what made Miami, is I always go back to telling people in high school why I chose Miami. And it wasn't because of the building or palm trees, and it really it wasn't because of the nice weather. It was, I was addicted to coming to practice and watching Michael Irvin and Benny Blades annihilate each other in practice, and Jerome Brown and Greg Riccozzi go at it nonstop. Alonzo Highsmith, Rod Carter. It was a culture that just, it pushed and worked to a level that they knew when they hopped on a bus or a plane on Friday, they were not going to be beat. I mean, they just loved competing. They loved practicing. They loved work. That's what made Miami, Miami. And if you look throughout the years, it was, there was a strong contingent of local players, but it was also a very nationally recruited team in all kinds of different spots. Now you fast forward into modern day, now you have all kinds of things. Now we're building this unbelievable new facility. You have a private school education that is top tier in so many fields of study. You have an NIL program that is second to none, and you have the ability now to bring in all these coaches and rebuild it the right way and rebuild it to last. Miami shouldn't slip. Been gone for a long time, man, and the opportunity to come back and rebuild it along with all these other people the right way is something that, it's always been a tremendous goal and requires every ounce of my existence. And I'm all about it, man. I'm blessed to have the opportunity and looking forward to step by step and piece by piece, working ourselves into being a prominent and eventually one of the best programs in the country.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you making time. We're fired up to watch y'all bring the U back to where it's supposed to be, and hoping to get to see y'all in person this fall. But have a great rest of the spring, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Come on down, man. The coffee's waiting for you, brother.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Coach.